from the very first time I walked into the Colorado Christian Writing Conference a decade or so ago, I was like, I want to teach here someday. I didn't have anything published. I had never written anything for publication. I had nothing. And I'm like, I want to be those ladies. I just felt like God was saying, you should do that. So over a decade later, Marlene, the director of it, finally says, Liz, I think you should start teaching here. And I just went, oh, I was so excited. She goes, make a list of things you think you could teach and send it to me and I'll pick. And then I'll pray over it and I'll pick. So I did that right away. And a couple weeks later, she writes back and she says, oh, I feel the Father. You'd have to know, Marlene. I hear the Father saying, you need to teach the one on trusting God with your life and your kids and your writing career and everything. And I was like, oh, Marlene, I am so excited because I'm writing a Bible study on that right now. And I'm halfway through. So by May, I'll be sure. So I finished the Bible study and it had changed my life. It made Jesus into my very best friend. So I couldn't wait for May. So May finally came. And my son had been going to the conference with me since he was 13, and this is his 18th year, so he's graduating from high school. It's a bittersweet sort of deal. It was his last time to come. We hop in the van, we drive to Estes Park, and I had forgotten a little detail to look when my class was. We get there, and I was the last class on the last day. I like to go first and just get it over with. So I had the whole conference to have this, like my very first time to teach, what if no one comes? Satan was messing with me. So at every meal, I'd say, you should come to my class, it's on the last day. You should come to my class, it's on the last day. So I had no idea if I'd have Martin and me or some other, I made Martin go, so anybody else. So finally Saturday comes, and it's 15 minutes before my class starts, a class on trusting God with your kids, your life, your writing career, your speaking career, everything. And my phone rings, and it's my husband. And he says, I just knew he was calling to pray with me and to give me encouragement and say, you can do it, Liz, God's with you. I just knew it. I answered the phone and I said, hello? And that's not what Dave was calling for. He was calling to tell me he was on the way to the hospital with our middle son. And he had a brain injury and he's bleeding out his nose and his ears and he was knocked out. And I was like, but wait! And he couldn't find the way to the hospital. So I ran into Marlene and I said, Marlene, can I use your computer? Dave can't find, you know how you go. And the mom in me was just wrenching. And I was like, anyway, so I sat down. She goes, you do that. I'm going to go talk to the crowd. So she goes and I'm typing in Google. I can't type. I can't think. I'm sobbing. She goes out there and she goes, everybody stop. We are going to pray for Liz's son. He's had several brain injuries. He's got a brain injury. He's been knocked out. He's bleeding out his eyes and his nose and everything. And he can't, and his eyes aren't dilating. And anyway, she said, and he can't find the hospital. So let's just pray. You know how Marlene, I don't know if you know Marlene, but she's hysterical. So she prays. So Charles, a friend of ours who's gone to the conference many years, came running in and said, I know Denver, where is he? And I told him, he goes, that's right by my house, give me the phone. So I gave him the phone and he gives directions to the hospital. And now the mom and me is already in the car going to the hospital. But I'm like, I don't know what to do. Do I leave and go to the hospital? Do I go teach my class that's now starting in 10 minutes about trusting God with your kids? So I go, Marlene said, whatever you want to do, Liz, we'll do. Whatever you want to do. And I said, I got to ask God. So I go running up to the top of the auditorium and I'm like, okay, God, it's Matthew. It's my son. And I got it. For the first time in my life, I got it. It was his son too. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you've got it under control. It was like for the first time in my life, this peace washed over me like rain, just like they say in the Bible. It just washed over me. And I was like, okay, let's go teach the class. So I got up and I came down and Marlene looked at me and she goes, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to go teach my class and then we'll figure it out later. She goes, are you sure? Because she's a mom too and all the moms were going, I'm sure they're thinking she should be at the hospital. But I was just like, nope. So I had no idea if there'd be one person or two people in my room. So I go walking into the room and because I'm a very good whiner, the room was packed. I mean, the room was packed. At every meal, I'm like, please come to my class, nobody will come. You know, like, so it was just packed. They had to bring in extra chairs, and that set up a whole other thing. And I had been praying, God, please let me tell them, please let me show you that it says in 1 Peter that he only let us go through things if it's absolutely necessary. That's a promise from God. That it says in Jeremiah 32:40 that you are all good, that you have our best interest at heart 100% of the time. You never are out of line with what's best for us. It may not seem like it sometimes. And in Proverbs 69, it says that you are all in control. You have it all under control. So man's plans against us can't prevail unless you allow it. So we are safe in the Savior's arms. And whatever road you're going down, whatever road he sent you down, that is the road he has you on. And by definition, it would be the best one for you because he sent you there. So we ended the class. It was over. I fell on the floor. I was so upset. And my husband calls and says, we're at the hospital. It's not as bad as they thought. He did have a terrible head injury, and he's had several, but it was bad. He slept for a week and stuff. But I just told them, the end? Oh, I just told them that they can believe that God has it under control. They can trust him with every little detail, even their kids.